you. So good evening, everybody. I'm Judith Roberts, and I'm your host tonight, and I welcome you to our Midweek Oasis Wednesday night service. Our Wednesday night Oasis is a place to come together as a community to be spiritually refreshed between Sundays. Most Wednesday night services build on the theme of the previous Sunday, expressing science of mind principles and practices, with the intention that these gatherings are informal, intimate, and interactive. Our annual theme for 2025 is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. Our monthly theme for April is Fertilizing Our Future. Last Sunday, Reverend Jerry Carter introduced ideas inspired by the talk title of Visioning Beyond the Horizon, and tonight our speaker will continue with the same topic. So as we gather tonight, I want to really welcome you. If you're new to our community or watching our recording, please visit our homepage at www.oaklandcsl.org and click on the I'm New icon. And look at the lower left-hand corner of that page to submit your email address. Once you do, you'll begin receiving the village newsletter once a week on Thursdays in your email. It has all the information on what is happening at the center in the coming weeks. Before we get started with the talk, please mute your own audio microphone during tonight's service. You can leave your camera on. When you mute your audio microphone, it will improve the quality of our recording and tonight's transmission. Sometimes people have a little music in the background or TV in the background, and if you mute that, none of that is going to come through the recording, and we won't hear it during the service either, because it can be distracting. So please do mute your audio unless it's time for you to be sharing something and you want to speak. Stay tuned through the end of the service to receive special and important announcements. And now I would like to introduce our speaker tonight, Robert Leeds. Robert has been a member of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living for 20 years. He has served the community in many ways, including facilitating our Sunday announcement team and serving on the Board of Trustees for 6 years, 5 of those years as president. He is currently on the member council and nominating committee for the International CSL organization. He has a son and daughter who came up at OCSL. He is happily retired after 33 years with the state of California and is using his time to get into some good trouble. So, Robert, thank you in advance for being our speaker tonight. As we do with every organized event at the center, we open with prayer. So, Robert, will you be doing the honors this evening?
Well, Judith, I will like to pass that honor to Reverend Ali.
Okay, Reverend Ali.
So I invite you to just take a couple of deep breaths with me. Let all the concerns of the day just fall away. We allow our breath to just draw us gently into that quieter, deeper place inside, where we contact our own divine essence, our own bit of spirit that is actually who we are. It's that beingness, that one beingness, that one mind that has created everything, from the smallest atomic particles to all of the galaxies, that truly sees beyond the horizon, that knows all, holds all of it in divine order, in harmony and balance and perfection. It is holding this service tonight in harmony and balance and perfection, knowing that we are blessed to come together in this group to have this experience of oneness, that every word that's spoken sends out little ripples through our psyches, into our souls, beyond us into our world as we leave here and go through our daily life, affecting, touching, inspiring each person we meet. And in that spirit of gratitude for coming together tonight, I simply speak my word into the law for our intentions for this evening, knowing the law only responds to our intentions with a yes. And I anchor this prayer by saying, and so it is.
So it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Reverend Alley. Ah, that felt like a perfect segue. So now we'd like to introduce our speaker, Robert Leeds.
Thank you so much, Judith. Thank you, Reverend Alley, for the prayer. Thank you, Freddie, for your hand at the tech controls. So welcome, everyone. I am Robert Leeds, and it's great to see you all. As in keeping with the format of the Wednesday Oasis, I will be giving a talk on this week's topic, which is visioning beyond the horizon. And there'll be plenty of time for discussion and sharing. So let's jump in. Now, I suspect that you have heard the following quote or something, some variation of it before. It goes like this: watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. Now, I have to say, like many quotes on the internet, this has been inaccurately attributed to Lao Tzu. That's like the person I saw it most attributed to. It's been attributed to Emerson, to Gandhi, to Elmo, who knows who else. But it's none of them. While it's based in some ancient wisdom, this formulation is fairly recent, and there's several people who have their own kind of variation on that. But I'm going to talk about those things. I'm going to talk about thoughts and actions and habits and how they're all interconnected. And I'm going to discuss it in three parts: aligning your daily actions with long-term goals, releasing limiting beliefs, and using visioning to tap into a higher vision for your life. But first, we have to ask the question, why bother? Aren't we a manifestation of the divine? Aren't we perfect already? Why mess with perfection? Now, some of you are old enough to remember Happy Days. So you remember Fonzie when he looks in the mirror and he's about to comb his hair, but he stops and he just recognizes, hey, that his hair is perfect. Now, there's a famous Zen poem by Basho that goes, sitting quietly, doing nothing, spring comes and the grass grows by itself. So I bet you didn't know that Fonzie was a Zen master, did you? So why set goals? Why not just live in the moment and enjoy ourselves? Well, there's no reason why you can't. That's a perfectly valid way to live. But even in that way of being, there are thoughts and words and actions and habits. So whatever you're doing, it's leading you somewhere. And like Lewis Carroll wrote, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. Reverend Jerry was talking about this topic on Sunday, and she read a passage from the book Atomic Habits, which used the example of a plane flying from LA to New York. And she said that just a slight adjustment in the heading south, and you end up in Washington, D.C. instead of New York. So small daily changes create big effects over time. So we're flying towards something anyway. We may as well do that consciously. So let's start with the importance of aligning our daily actions with our long-term goals. Each step we take today can pave the way for the future we desire. This alignment is not merely about setting goals, but integrating those goals into our everyday lives. Think about the power of small, consistent actions. Those actions, when they're aligned with our larger vision, create momentum that propels us forward. For example, if your long-term goal is to achieve optimal health, your daily actions might include choosing nutritious foods, engaging in regular exercise, and practicing mindfulness to reduce stress. Now, I eat healthy and I have an exercise routine because I want to feel good. Monday through Friday at 5:30 a.m., believe it or not, my alarm goes off. Now, do you think when my alarm goes off, I sit up and say, "Boy, I can't wait to exercise"? I do not. But 99% of the time, I get up and I do it because it's a habit. And I'm always glad after I've done the exercise. I feel good physically in the moment. And I also feel good about taking that step that I know is in alignment with my long-term goals of being healthy. And the value of my exercise habit is that it gives me the momentum to do that behavior without having to go through this like painful debate with myself every time or needing to be like super motivated every morning. I do it because it's what I do. That's the power of habit. Now, let me make a side comment about motivation. Feeling motivated, feeling inspired, it's important, but it also comes and goes. The thing to remember about motivation and inspiration is that it's a psychological state that needs to be replenished, just like a physical need, right? We don't get a good night's sleep and then say, I'll never have to sleep again, or have a good meal and say, I no longer require human food. But for some reason, we think inspiration should work that way. Like we get inspired by one of Reverend Sunshine Michelle's talks and think that feeling will never diminish. That's where spiritual practice comes in, and I'll say more on that in a minute. There's another aspect to consider here, which is that aligning daily actions with long-term goals requires mindfulness and intentionality. It involves being present in each moment and making choices that reflect your highest aspirations. So you can ask yourself, is this in alignment with my goals? Not from a place of judgment or beating yourself up, but just coming from a place of choice. So when faced with a choice, focus on how you want to feel. Ask yourself, what are the payoffs for the behavior? And keep your eye on the prize. This practice also cultivates discipline and commitment so we can learn to prioritize our goals over immediate distractions and immediate gratification. Sometimes that means also engineering your environment to help you stay aware and be in choice. So, for example, if you're trying to eat healthier, don't keep unhealthy food in the house. Make it hard for yourself to get at that unhealthy food. Consistently aligning our intentions and actions with our long-term goals, we set the stage for a future that is in harmony with our deepest desires. Now let's move on to recognizing and releasing limiting beliefs. This addresses the internal barriers that can hold us back, our limiting beliefs and fears. Science of mind, as we know, teaches that these mental constructs can prevent us from seeing and pursuing the opportunities that are in front of us or lying just beyond what we can see, what we can currently see. Limiting beliefs are deeply ingrained thoughts or perceptions that we hold about ourselves and our abilities. They can stem from past experience, societal conditioning, or negative self-talk. These beliefs act as invisible chains, restricting our growth and potential. Recognizing these limiting beliefs is the first step towards making real change. Let's go back to that original quote. That was not said by Lao Tzu, about thoughts leading to words, leading to actions, leading to habits, leading to character, leading to destiny. So the thoughts and beliefs are at the root of everything else. They come first. Self-reflection and awareness is necessary to uncover those limiting beliefs, asking ourselves, what fears and doubts are holding me back? What stories am I telling myself that limit my potential? Once we can identify these beliefs, we can challenge their validity and replace them with empowering thoughts. This is where affirmations can be useful. Something like, my actions and choices in the present are fully aligned with the future I desire and deserve. I'll say that again. My actions and choices in the present are fully aligned with the future I desire and deserve. This process of releasing limiting beliefs requires courage and persistence. It may involve stepping out of our comfort zones and embracing uncertainty. However, by letting go of these constraints, we open ourselves to a broader perspective and greater possibilities. This shift in mindset not only enhances our confidence, but it also attracts into our experience new opportunities that align with our true potential. Finally, let's talk about the practice of visioning in this process. This practice goes beyond mere goal setting. It's about tapping into a higher wisdom that knows our true potential. Visioning requires a quiet mind and an open heart, allowing us to receive divine guidance and insights. To begin this process, find a quiet space, become still, and pose reflective questions to the divine mind, such as, what is Spirit's highest vision for my life? What must I embrace to manifest this vision? What must I release to manifest this vision? And then you wait, see what comes back. As you ask even just these 3 questions, you have to listen deeply for the answers and trust that the insights you receive are divinely inspired and aligned with your highest good. Visioning is a practice of surrendering to your greatest yet to be. By taking inspired action based on these insights, we align ourselves with the highest possibilities for our lives. This practice not only clarifies our vision, but also empowers us to take bold steps toward our dreams, because we know that the universe has our back. It reminds us we are co-creators with the divine, capable of manifesting a life greater than we can even imagine. Now, for some people, this is a challenging practice, sitting and waiting for a message from the void. And there's another technique I want to share that you may prefer, and that is to personify it. A friend of mine that I went through foundations class with way back 18 years ago told me about this recently, and she calls it your future dream self. So basically, you imagine your future dream self and how you want to be in 5 years or whatever time frame you want to apply to it. And then you have a conversation with that imaginary future self. Have a chat, a dialogue, ask questions. Sometimes by personifying that, it allows us to get things moving, to tap into the unconscious and our intuition. So keep that in mind as like an alternative if you are struggling with visioning. Embracing visioning as a regular practice ensures that we remain connected to our true purpose and continue to evolve in alignment with our highest self. This ongoing connection with the divine mind provides the guidance, support, and inspiration needed to navigate the journey of life with confidence and grace. Now, on Sunday, Reverend Jerry had a little handout. I think I have a copy of it here. It looked like this, and it's a great summary of the process. It lists the core questions in a visioning session, and then it gives a bunch of practical tips for visioning. So I think there's a stack of them out as you enter the sanctuary. So I encourage you the next time you're there to grab one of those. So let's see. I'd like to open it up now to hear from you, and maybe things along the line of how have you aligned your habits with your long-term goals? What has helped you to change limiting beliefs? Have you had interesting experiences with visioning? Those kind of things. So if you have something to share, you can raise your hand just like that, or use the hand raising function, and we'll go from there. Annie.
Yeah, it's so funny because I just happen to be listening to Atomic Habits right now.
Ah,
I didn't even know, I
synchronicity.
mean, this was before I even heard about it at service. So it's really interesting. And I realize how much I have incorporated some of that into my life already. That I just sort of intuitively knew, like certain things, like I need to do physical therapy exercises. Okay, I want to watch a Netflix show, so I'm gonna reward myself by doing it at the same time. And it worked like a charm. I don't do that so much anymore, but it really, so I just have, like, if I'll listen to a book on tape while I'm exercising or whatever. So it kind of combines with what you need with what you desire.
Oh,
And
that's a
so
good way
that's
of
been
putting
really,
it. Yeah.
that's what he says, something like that in the book. That's what he talks about.
Right, that makes sense. So you're connecting an activity that supports you in one way, but maybe in itself isn't so thrilling or, fun, but you associate it with the fun activity. And so it becomes less of a chore. Some people, when they exercise, they like to do it with somebody
Yeah.
because that takes their mind off it, or they can have a conversation at the same time. So yeah, that's a good strategy.
I really like this idea of having a conversation with your future self. I'm going to try that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I had dinner with their when I
Mm.
took foundations 18 years ago, it was a large class. Boy, I can't
Yeah,
remember, 40,
mine
40,
was
50
too.
people or something. And there were a group of us that decided to get together like monthly afterwards, to kind
Wow,
of like, reinforce the things and talk about spiritual things. And
nice.
it started out with about 10 people, and then over the years it started shrinking. And people moved out of the area and different things happened. But there's still like three of us that get together, at least
No
a couple of
kidding.
times a year,
Oh,
just to hang out, because we're friends, and we share what's going on, and it's a lot of mutual support. But she was talking about this, and she was talking about it also in terms of a new career path that she's embarking on,
mhm.
and so she was, very motivated about it, and she was talking about using this as a technique to, to keep that motivation up, to connect with that her greatest yet to be. So yeah,
Another
it's
thing
a
he talks about in the book Atomic Habits is um joining a group with people who are like-minded, or like he talked about a group where it's exercises for nerds. So like they might not feel comfortable going to the gym, but they have this group where of people that they feel comfortable with, and so then they can make that leap into getting more exercise in it because they have that camaraderie with the group. So anyway, a lot of interesting ideas in the book.
Great.
Anyway,
Judith.
somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Robert, can you explain again the technique of talking with your future self? What was that method?
Well, it's really just it's Jung might call it active imagination. So the visioning process is basically like a meditation where, you center yourself, you have an intention to get some guidance from the divine mind, and you ask these questions, and then you sit quietly and listen for the answer.
Oh,
So that's that's
paramount to visioning. I know
yes,
visioning.
yes,
I
exactly,
just didn't
exactly.
know this other terminology for it.
Well,
Okay.
well, I'm doing a compare and contrast.
Oh, I
So
see.
so that's visioning, right?
Yeah.
Having a conversation with your future dream self, which is the term she used, is similar, but you're just, instead of just like, it being sort of this blank slate of the divine mind and waiting to hear something come out of that, you're actually personifying that wisdom into your future self and having a dialogue.
Huh.
So it's a way to kind of make it less intimidating. Um, you know, it just it gives kind of a I think a little boost to the process, because we're used to having a conversation with somebody, and it's easy to go from there.
Oh, I like that idea. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that. Um, One of the quotes you gave in the beginning reminded me of one. You kind of said it in a different way, but it's one that I really like. And it's, if you don't change the direction you're going, you'll end up where you're headed. Which is a good one for our country right now.
Mm,
If you don't change the direction you're going, you'll end up where you're headed. I wanted to come back to the example of fitness and health that you gave, and also Annie talked about. For myself, I walk up in Redwood Park, and it really helps me to have a walking partner. That's really helps me with motivation. I've also found that over the years, when I've tried different gyms and things, a barrier for me has always been the distance that it takes to get to the gym. And yeah, that's been a barrier. And I found something recently that's 5 minutes from my house. So I don't have the excuse of distance anymore. It's right down in Montclair, and I live right above Montclair. And the workouts are an hour long, or you can do a 90-minute one, but they're generally 60 minutes. And it's 3 different types of exercise in 60 minutes. Usually it's like a treadmill, rowing, and weights, and they're guided, there's somebody guiding you through it all. And I've just found that works for me. That the key is to finding something
right.
that supports my health objectives and fitness objectives, that is really doable for me and that's manageable. And I don't always want to go. And like you said, when I'm done, I feel fantastic. And I
Yeah.
and I always sweat. And I know that's really good for us to sweat. And it's only 60 minutes out of my day, plus, a five or 10-minute drive. So I think what's really important is to be clear about what we want, and then set the goals in bite-sized pieces, in chunks, so that it's not too big of a goal, or that it creates a mental barrier, but something that's, small pieces that we can achieve easily. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
this is one that really is working for me, and I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful that I found it, because I feel better. I'm developing strength, whereas it's not just cardio, but I'm actually developing more strength. So I think exercise is a great example for what you're talking about, in terms of intentions and where we want to go and setting our vision and then how to get there.
Yeah. So the two things I want to emphasize in what you said. One is that is breaking it into small pieces. One of the I used to be a diet counselor in a former life. I ran classes for people that were first it was the OptiFast. No, I'm sorry. First it was the Nutrisystems diet. And then later I worked for a medical clinic that did OptiFast. And I would do classes in like behavior modification and, positive self-talk and, nutrition, exercise, all those kind of things. And one of the biggest reasons that people fail when they try to start exercising is they do too much too soon.
Mhm.
They take on too much. They overtax themselves. They sprain an ankle. They get burnt out or they get frustrated, and then they just stop. So
Yeah.
what I would always tell people is do less than you think you can do.
Mhm.
So go out and walk around the block.
Yeah.
Well, that's silly. I can walk around the block 10 times. This week, walk around the block once each night. Okay. The next week, walk around the block twice.
Mhm.
And before you know it, you've got that momentum going.
Yeah.
So small bites is an important one. And the other thing is the mindfulness. It's like you have to think about, okay, pancakes taste good, right? I know pancakes taste good. When I eat pancakes, I feel like I have a lead balloon in my stomach afterwards. Now, there are times when the pancakes look good. I'll go out to breakfast or something. And I think, is that how I want to feel afterwards? Or maybe I'll just have like one pancake on the side with, eggs or something. But it's like you have to be mindful and present with how you feel and how you want to feel in the moment so that you can be in that place of choice. Otherwise, we're just like, automatons. I mean, we're just running on automatic pilot most of the time. So it really we have to kind of slow down, think about where we are and be present. And that allows us to make a different choice.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, good subject. Good subject. Thank you. And I'm complete.
Reverend Ali.
We asked about experiences with visioning. So, my big experience, I will tell this story, and I apologize to anyone who's heard it because someone may have, but um, the theme of the story is about how you have to trust what you're receiving because the universe seems to think I can't really handle the big picture, only the next step. So that's all it gives me. So I remember it was a time after the kids were going to be graduating high school, leaving home soon. I was thinking about empty nest syndrome and what I want the rest of my life to look like, and kind of thinking I want to do become a practitioner and that kind of stuff. But I got in the habit of visioning pretty much every night, you know, at least briefly. And I remember one night I had one of those visioning sessions where I ended and I went, I didn't get anything. And the very next thought I had was, you need to take that improv class you keep talking about. I was like, what? So I said, fine. And I looked up an improv class and I found one right near my office that I could take at night. And so the next couple of days later, I went in to actually register for it. And when I went in, my email popped up saying that we were doing an improv class at Oakland CSL. So I thought, well, that would be a great way to start. First, the synchronicity, but that would be a great way to dip a toe in and get started and everything. And what I didn't know was that Reverend Jeff was planning this expanded role for the announcer, and the class was actually part of finding people who might be interested in doing that. And the way I found out was the way people often find out they're volunteering at OCSL, which is Susan Brecker walked up to me and said, so since you volunteered for the hosting group, I was like, for the what? That led to me hosting, which helped me overcome what had been my childhood shyness and fear of public speaking, which I had overcome once in high school, but I hadn't done it in a long time. So I was very nervous about it. But after 2 years of hosting, I not only was fine with it, but I was having fun with it. And because of that, when I finished my last class, in prac class, we were supposed to talk about, our journey or whatever. And I thought, instead of talking about it, I'm going to demonstrate. And so I decided to give a talk, like a 7-minute talk. And about a week later, again, I get a call from Reverend Jeff. He says, "How are these dates?" And he gave me 4 dates. And I went, "What kind of meeting are we talking about?" He goes, "No, for you to speak." So yeah, that's kind of typical of how things unfold when I'm visioning. It's like I I get messages to do stuff. I have no idea how that's connected to anything. And it really does take kind of a leap of faith to go, okay, I'm gonna do it. What we'll see. So that's all.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, there's as you were talking, I was thinking about how, it is a balance between, um, like ritual or habit or routine that serves you, in whatever way it serves you mentally, physically, spiritually, and being flexible enough to adapt when the universe has a different idea for you. Or it throws a little curveball or, things like that. So it's, there is that, yeah, push pull. It's like you don't want just to like be pursuing goals that are coming out of your ego. It's also a matter of like, what's that higher vision? What is it that's there, beyond my, little self.
Can hear you.
There we
You're
go.
muted, you're
Oh.
muted, Ellie.
Yeah, the thing you were saying about starting small, the way I always express it to folks is you've got to separate the habit and the thing. What's important is creating the habit, which means you do it every day or every week or whatever, no matter what. So if I haven't exercised in a while, I actually start with like 2 minutes because it's like, what's the period of time or the amount or whatever that you have no resistance to, that you will do it every day. And I say 2 minutes. It ends up being 5 or 6 or 7. I won't let myself do more for the reasons you talked about. You do more and then you hurt and then you don't want to do it. Yeah.
And the other part of that, this is the self-talk that can sabotage us, because it's like even like what you described about like just doing 2 minutes. Can you hear that little voice in your head? Oh, this is just a waste of time. You're not going to get anything out of 2 minutes.
Only if you think about the exercise and not the habit.
Oh, great. That's great. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's true. So that's a perfect way of, or as Reverend Sunshine Michelle would say, flipping the script,
Yeah.
right? So it's like I'm doing this regularly. I am
Yeah.
building this habit. I'm putting another link in the chain, that's going to support me.
Like I remember Jerry Seinfeld one time they interviewed him and they said, "How do you come up with all this material?" And he goes, "I write a joke every day." He had a calendar on the wall, a paper calendar, marked them off with big red X's, and he wrote a joke every day.
Mm,
So
yep. There's a quote I really like by Colette, the author Colette. She says, I saw this on a little like greeting card. It says, "Nobody said you had to be happy. Get to work."
I thought you were going with Hemingway. They said, "How do you do this?" And he said, "You apply the seat of the pants to the seat of the chair."
Yeah. But what I like about what Colette said is that it emphasizes that, the work comes before the payoff, right? I mean, it's that you have to um you find your purpose, and then, if you're always chasing happiness, then you're never going to find it. If you find your purpose, then happiness will come and find you.
And I'll say this and shut up. Meditation is like exercise. It doesn't feel good at first, and the benefit is when you make it very, very regular. And then the benefit is like exponential.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Hi, Peggy. It's a nice sunset you have going on there.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Yes, I've been listening. Yes.
Well, because you now have graced us with your vision,
Well,
I thought maybe you have something to add.
you know, I just think that visioning it's like meditation. It's important to do all the time, I think. And I certainly have envisioned myself doing public speaking since, thank you, Reverend Alley. I am now practicing. I didn't think I could stand up and speak in front of anybody. And I've done a couple of them now. I've done a couple of Wednesday nights, and just the other day I was thinking, gosh, I haven't, because I have an ear for languages, but I don't know any other language. I know snippets of a lot of languages, like how to say hello to people in a lot of different, a lot meaning like four, okay, not more, not a whole lot. But something, I woke up the other day and I was thinking, gosh, it would be nice for me to be able to speak one language well, and maybe go, talk with my neighbor who's down the street and around the corner, who I bumped into at the grocery store. And I bumped into her at the grocery store, and she said something to me in English. She said, hello, and how are you? You could tell I said, are you practicing English? She said, yes, I'm studying. And I said, oh, that's bravo, bravo. And she said, and you? Are you going to practice? And I said, how did you know? She speaks Spanish, but she speaks Spanish and she speaks Portuguese, and now she's learning it, and she speaks Italian, and now she's learning her English.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I'm not sure which one, but I think probably French, because that's not one she speaks yet. She said, oh, well, I will have to learn that one too. So she's, yeah, I know, it's so funny. But I really do appreciate the art and the science and the spirituality, which I call the a divine triangle of visioning. And when Alice and I were in prac class together, we were the two. Hi, Alice. We were the two who liked to practice visioning.
What do you
Does.
mean by the divine triangle?
I call the divine triangle spiritual, human, and unanticipated. I could call it that. I kind of lost my track on where I was coming from a few minutes ago about that, but there's a number of triangles. If you think about a lot of things in life, there's a triangle there somewhere. Always, always. It's just, and I think I got that from my dad, who liked to do those kinds of things. Even though he was a chef, he was very good at mathematics, and he would always talk about things in a dozen, because you get eggs in a dozen. And then he'd say a dozen plus one. And I go, but that's 13. And he says, yes. And 13 and 13 are what? And I'd say 26. I'm trying to say, where's he going with this? And then he would come up with, well, that's what you need to do that souffle, But the power of listening, being still enough, really allowing yourself to hear what is coming through to you when you practice visioning, is something that is just phenomenal. It may not come through according to your schedule, but something always triggers something. You'll feel something, you'll smell something, you'll think of something. Something will come. And you just have to pay attention to what shows up. And sometimes we lose our attention because we're so used to having things. We're such spoiled human beings. We want everything now, and we get a lot of things now. but that's not always the way that things work. So we get a little impatient and we have to think about that, and we start to drift away from what we believe because we're not getting it right now.
I was visioning for wanting a big change, like over the last year or so. And for about a year, every time I visioned, what I got was keep doing what you're doing. It's like, oh,
Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing.
So, so Peggy, that listening part,
Mhm.
and the attention, I think is
Yeah.
like really critical. And we live in an age where we're constantly distracted.
All the time.
And so these things,
Oh, yeah.
here's something I do at least once a day. I go to my phone with the intention of looking up checking the weather or something like that. I open my phone, something else is there, some notification. I check that, I put my phone down, and I completely forget to do the thing that I intended to do.
Right.
Every friggin' day I do that. And so,
That's
you
not a
know,
habit, Robert.
You're not
I mean,
alone. You're not alone.
yeah. I
Not
mean, it's a
alone.
common experience. And so my point is that we have to be very intentional about being quiet, and turning out the noise. And I know a lot of people, Judith, or who was it, mentioned the state of our country these days. I think it was Judith. I know a lot of people that have had to back away from the news
Yes.
because it's overwhelming,
Yes.
and I think it's important to be informed, but you also have to find out, where does it become like, toxic for your mental health.
Yes. And where do you find yourself getting confused?
Uh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. And it's critical. Yeah.
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 and is it
Yeah. So,
more overwhelming if you stay away for a little while and then you're bombarded by all you missed?
yeah.
Right.
I
It's
know.
like, what's happened?
I know.
Yeah,
And
you feel like you're
Alice,
stepping into a dream world
yeah,
Twilight Zone.
or a nightmare.
or a nightmare, or a nightmare.
I just
But
wanted to share this little tip that I
yeah, I
do.
wanted to get you in on this, Alice.
I don't have anything a whole lot to say, but what came to mind is this little thing that I do when I know I need to do something that's really good for myself and I'm dragging my feet, right? And I just say, just do it like it's Friday.
Oh, that's a good one.
Somebody shared that with me a long time ago, and it's like don't make a big fuss about it. Just, Friday is a great day because the next day is Saturday. You can sleep in a little longer, you can do all this stuff. So just do it like it's Friday, and it gets me started.
Yes.
It breaks the procrastination.
That's a great little tool. I like that.
Yeah.
And that's intentional, Robert, since you mentioned intention. It is critical about intention. I think you're right. And intentioning, I guess my triangle, I'm trying to get back to what my triangle was that I forgot, and then I will be complete and stop hogging the screen here. But I think it's critical to be intentional, yes, and to be listening and paying attention, to your intention, of course, but pay attention, especially to get back to it. The point is visioning. Pay attention to anything that happens, a voice, a smell, a sound, an extra heartbeat, a something. We don't know what it is. You walk out your front door, you've been visioning, you take a deep breath, you walk out the front door and there are no flowers out there, but you smell a rose.
Mm.
And it brings something to you, and I've witnessed it so many times. So I just want to mention that is so critical, and it's so delightful when you practice and practice and practice, and things begin to reveal themselves to you. Maybe not right there when you're sitting there, but be looking for them, looking for it, whatever it may be. Just be open, I guess is the word. I tend to start my openness by being curious. So, and now I'm complete.
Thank you so
Super
much.
easy.
So I think we went a little late, but I'm going to turn it back to Judith for the announcements. And thank you everyone for your participation.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Robert,
Robert.
for your talk, and thank you everybody who contributed to the conversation. It was very interesting and stimulating. So Freddie, can you bring up the slides now and we'll run through our announcements? So this one is this Easter Earth Day Sunday, April 20th, Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman will be speaking on a rising higher, growing deeper with holistic growth. Meditation starts at 10, followed by service at 10:30. And I understand she's going to have an interesting ritual for us, which is going to kind of marry Earth Day and Easter. Okay. And on Wednesday, April 23rd, at our midweek oasis, join Gabriella Condi for an encore conversation on the topic of rising higher, growing deeper with the holistic growth. Meditation is at 6:30 and service is at 7 by Zoom. And we honor Passover, April 12th through April 20th. Each April, the past and present mingle during Passover, one of the most significant holidays on the Jewish calendar. Passover is a celebration that commemorates the Jewish people's escape from slavery in ancient Egypt. And we wish everyone a happy Easter during this holy time of spiritual awakening. Metaphysically, Easter is the awakening and arising to spiritual consciousness and the Christ within us. And that's a quote from Eric Butterworth. April is Earth Month, honored in over 193 countries. We bless our earth and our environment. And please join the Ministry of Prayer for Friday night prayer happy hour on April 18th from 7 to 8 p.m. on Zoom, weekly on Fridays, except for the fourth Friday of the month. Practitioners Maureen French and Megan Lemon extend this open invitation to anchor in prayer with your spiritual community. Please visit oaklandcsl.org/events and click on the image and use the passcode 123456. Fear to Faith Technology Clinic is being offered Saturday, April 19th. That's this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon in the OCSL Social Hall. It'll be led by Nancy Hester, Ron Marshall, practitioner, and friends. The cost is $20 per person and is best suited for beginners or intermediate. Two device limit, please. You will learn about basic operations and features for iPhones, Androids, laptops, or tablets. Device repairs are not included. Go to www.oaklandcsl.org/workshop to register. And join Peace of Mind Planning for an Elegant Exit class starting April 22nd to May 13th on Zoom. This is Tuesday evenings. Create an advanced directive that goes beyond medical wishes and also addresses personal, emotional, and spiritual needs. The cost is $125. OCSL will receive $30 of your registration fee. Visit oaklandcsl.org/events to register. This was organized by Robin Rice Olmsted out of the Albuquerque CSL, and it's being offered to all the CSLs with a portion of the fee going to each individual CSL that you're a member of. So if you, I think they're even going to cover wills. I'm not sure how much it is they're covering, but it's, you know, it's for planning for end of life. So I know I registered. I need this. So keep this one in mind. Next slide. Okay. And the Social Justice Ministry presents Color of Fear movie viewing and live discussion with Lee Moonwa Sunday, May 4th from 1 to 4 p.m. in the OCSL Sanctuary. Suggested love offering is $10 to $30. Register at oaklandcsl.org/events. And join Brother Ishmael Tete live and in person at OCSL on May 7th for a special Wednesday midweek oasis. Love offering is requested. The event will be live streamed, 5:30 p.m. meditation, 6 to 7 p.m. service plus book signing afterwards. So this is a departure from our normal Wednesday night services, which are online like this one. This is going to be in person, but it'll also be live streamed. So that sounds very interesting. I think that Brother Ishmael Tete lives in Africa, is visiting from, I think from Ghana. Okay, and mark your calendars for a quick start class on Science of Mind, Saturday, May 17th, 9:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. This class is a requirement for the next new membership cohort in early June, and it can be a refresher for some. And it provides new principles for newcomers. Registration will be available soon, and I am teaching this along with Susan Brecker. So this is, you know, kind of return to the basics or introduction of the basics for those who are new to Science of Mind. Next slide. And mark your calendar. Oh, sorry. Save the date, and this is a new date. Join the fabulous Lisa Ferraro and accomplished Tammy Hall on Friday evening, June 27th. The time is still being confirmed for an OCSL 80th anniversary summer solstice concert. More information to follow. This was previously set for June 20th, and the date has been changed to June 27th. Okay, and then happy 80th anniversary, Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. There will be a gala event on September 20th of this year. And our nonprofit partner for March and April is the New Bridge Foundation, a nonprofit, non-medical addiction treatment facility with over 50 years of experience. Visit newbridgefoundation.org for more information. And the Spirit Treasure Bookstore, if you buy anything in April that is Science of Mind related, you'll receive a 30% discount. And I see there's religious science. Can you go back, Freddie? It says religious science leaders, Ernest Holmes t-shirts and jewelry. So that's an interesting addition, t-shirts and jewelry. Plus Easter and Passover celebrated in April, books on Christianity and Judaism. Thank you, Freddie. And now I'd like to highlight our OCSL team. We have Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman, who is the spiritual director of OCSL. Our senior minister, we have a co-lead of the Ministry of Prayer, Megan Lemon, who is a practitioner. And we have a co-lead of the Ministry of Prayer, Maureen French, who is a practitioner. We have Beth Van Arkel, who is board president. Steve Carter, our operations coordinator. Susan Brecker, who is a practitioner emerita, I think. And is our facility usage coordinator, and Dow Becker, who is our bookkeeper. So just want to give a shout out and thank you to all of them who are keeping our center running and thriving. And I also wanted to say, visit csl.org to see what is happening within our Centers for Spiritual Living global organization. So now, with gratitude for all that is being offered, we want to express our gratitude, and I want to invite you to say with me this affirmation. I freely
give what I
what I
have,
have,
I have
and the
the
divine
divine source multiplies it
multiplies it
in
in
return.
return.
And so it is. So if you feel inspired to contribute to our center, you can go online to oaklandcsl.org and click on the donate button, the purple tile there. And that'll take you to these different ways that you can donate. You can donate through Zelle. You can text to donate. You can use this QR code. You can write a check. Of course, if you're there in person, you can put an offering in the donation basket, and you can also make a donation by credit card. So we welcome any contributions, large or small, whatever is in your heart, and we know that it is given just given in the spirit of love and gratitude, and we accept whatever it is that you feel in your heart to donate. And now I would like to thank everybody who's contributed to the service tonight. First of all, our speaker, Robert Leeds, who also is going to offer our closing prayer. I want to thank Reverend Elena Hutchinson for her presence here and support, and for doing our opening prayer. Reverend Ikea Param for just being here and being present tonight. And of course, Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman, our spiritual director. And I want to thank Freddie Lambright III, who is our AV person. He's doing all the
What happened to Judith?
I think Judith disappeared.
Well, Judith is in Hawaii,
Yeah,
Oh,
and I'm wondering if there was something that happened with her connection or something.
it could have been.
yeah, easily.
I think after the thank yous for everyone, Freddie was the last, and we usually move on to the closing prayer, which I think Robert was going to do, right?
I'll make it up.
So why don't we move on to that?
Okay.
Yes, so let's all take a breath together and rest in this moment, knowing that this time together has been well spent, that we have come together in community to increase our wisdom, our connection, and our joy. I know that this discussion, we have had a chance to say what we need to say and to hear what we needed to hear. I know that we move forward from this into our week with gratitude and doing it like it's Friday. And so as we move forward with ease, accomplishing what we want to accomplish, I am grateful for this time together. I know that it is already done in the mind of God, and so it is.
So
So it is. Thank you,
it
Robert, and
is.
everybody.
You.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I
See
enjoyed it.
everybody.
So Judith said that normally what she does is she does the countdown.